Hey guys! Today I am going to be doing my breastfeeding experience video where I'm going to give some tips, tricks, advice, and some of my experience stories. So I hope you guys enjoy and I hope that you find it useful. So let's just jump right into it. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about my experience. Scarlett had no formula. She was strictly breastfed, and the only thing I think that helped me produce a lot and enough for her to eat strictly breast milk is pumping and feeding her from the breast. So for the first 2 months, maybe even 3 months, I think it was 3 months. So for the first 3 months, I breastfed her, and right after I fed her, I would pump. So I had a very, very large storage. I had over 200 ounces at one time in the freezer, and I think the only reason I had enough for her to strictly feed off my breast and only eat breast milk was pumping, because I was just overproducing milk, and yeah, she overate like so much. She was a chunky baby and she was super cute. Another thing that I would say that didn't work for me was not co-sleeping. I had to co-sleep with Scarlett. She would not sleep on her own, and it also made it a lot easier for me because I could just roll over and like flip it out, and she could flip it out. She could just like eat, and it was so easy. I could just go back to sleep and she would fall back asleep too, and then whenever she would wake up, I would like flip her to the other side. So I think that co-sleeping was one of the most things people said not to do, but was one of the biggest things that worked for me. So to each is their own. If you don't believe in co-sleeping, that's you, but I wholeheartedly believe in co-sleeping because, first of all, it made my baby happy, and it made me sleep more, so it made me happy, and everyone was happy, so why not? And she was perfectly safe. I don't move in my sleep, Clay doesn't move in his sleep, so it was completely fine. The number one thing I wish someone told me before I started breastfeeding was how bad your nipples will actually hurt. Mine hurt for the first month and a half to 2 months, and I thought I was doing something wrong, and stress has a very big part in milk production. So for my advice, I would say to stay calm. It's gonna hurt for like the first couple of months, but you're not doing anything wrong. That's completely natural for them to hurt. But the only time my breastfeeding coach told me that would be a concern was if your nipples were bleeding, which mine were, and she would tell me like multiple times that my latch was completely fine, it looked great, but I guess it was just so painful for my nipples that I just bled. So I mean, just push through the pain. It's like really painful, but it's so worth it, and the benefits to your baby and to you are very awesome. One trick that was given to me that did not work for me at all was the nipple cream. Every time I used the nipple cream, because they were really, really sore, Scarlett would like throw up kind of. So I couldn't use nipple cream at all. I know that nipple cream does help other people, but it just didn't work for me, so yeah. Also, don't stress about the pain. it'll go away, but yeah, it hurts a lot. Another tip that I think is the most important tip to keep your milk production up is to put your baby to the breast whenever you think a sign is. So the signs are if their tongue is going in and out of their mouth like or they're eating their fist, or they just obviously cry is a really very, very big sign. But anytime Scarlett did that, I would put her to the breast, and so I produced so much milk. I think it's just because I like fed her anytime I saw those signs. For the first couple of months, like probably until she was like 3 months old, she would eat like every hour to an hour and a half because she would show those signs so often. So she was a super chunky baby, but I didn't mind because it kept my milk production up, and that's what keeps her healthy. So whatever, if she wants to overeat, you do you, boo-boo. But yeah, so just really pay attention to the signs and put your baby to the breast like as much as you can or as much as they want, because it'll give you and them a lot of benefits. So that's a really big trick. Even if you think it's like too soon to put them on the breast, it's like super important that you just do it. Even if you think it's just because they want comforting, do it because they know what they want, and if they want some milk, give it to them. Next tip I would say that is very important is relaxing. I know it sounds super cliche just to like relax or whatever, you know, like meditate or something, I don't know, but relaxing plays a huge part in milk production. Like I said before, stress can make your milk production slow down. So relaxing, your body is so tired from pumping all this milk and you're losing a lot of calories, you're burning a lot of calories, I mean, because it's so much work on your body. But so relaxing, if you overdo it, your milk production is gonna go way down because you're gonna be tired, so your body's gonna be tired and it's not gonna be able to produce milk. So just relax, like put your feet up, lay down with your baby, put your baby on your chest, do some skin to skin or whatever, just spend time with your baby, cuddle with your baby, they love cuddles. So I think that is a very important tip. Something else that I wish someone would have told me before I had my baby or before I thought about breastfeeding, even though I wouldn't have changed breastfeeding or not, but I wish I knew this, is the sleep at night. Since I breastfed, I had to do all the feedings and wake up at night with the baby because at night she would wake up hungry and Clay couldn't do anything about it because I needed to breastfeed. So I wish that someone would have told me how often they wake up at night. I don't know if it's the same for every baby, but Scarlett would wake up every 45 minutes for the first 6 months at night. She would wake up every 45 minutes and want to drink or eat a full feeding and then go back to sleep. And then 45 minutes later, she would want a full feeding again. And I think that's also what helped my milk production be so high, because she was eating so often. She was a chunky baby, cute but very chunky. And yeah, after 6 months, it was so hard to get my boobs to regulate because every 45 minutes they would have a full feeding for the nighttime. Every night for like, it was probably a couple months that I had to get up like 1 or 2 times throughout the night after 6 months to just like pump, and I would just pump like 10, 15 ounces sometimes because I would miss a lot of 45-minute feedings. But I mean, it helped my storage, so I can't really complain. Although I thought after 6 months I would just have it easy and sleep in. I thought very wrong. And I actually didn't even get to sleep through the night until around like 10 or 11 months because that's when my breast started to regulate. My breast took a very long time, but I'm not complaining because some people can't produce milk, but I wish it would have been sooner that I could sleep through the night. But now I sleep through the night, so I'm totally fine. My very favorite thing about breastfeeding was how close I was with Scarlett. I felt so needed and it made me feel important. And the bond, I believe the bond between a breastfed baby and a bottle-fed baby is the same. You bond with your baby, feeding your baby, the exact same. But for me, I just felt closer, and it was very important to me to breastfeed. I just believed wholeheartedly that I needed to do that. So I think that just created a different bond with me and Scarlett because I was able to do it, so I felt accomplished. My other very favorite part was watching her weight go up. I know all girls are like, I don't want to see my weight go up. Like, that's the worst thing to see is step on a scale and your weight goes up. But every time we would weigh her when we would go to the doctors or when I would go to like the breastfeeding cafe because they would have a scale there, my confidence went up so high. She would like gain like a lot of ounces, a lot more ounces than she was supposed to each time we would go in, because we would go in every week because they would have breastfeeding cafe every Thursday. So I would see her weight skyrocket each Thursday morning, and it just made my confidence shoot up. So I think that was my favorite part, was watching her gain weight and knowing that I did that. Like, I produced that milk, I made her gain weight, like a healthy amount of weight. And like, it's just crazy to think that my body did that. So I don't know. That also goes into play with the bond. I think that created a stronger bond because like I knew that she needed me to produce her milk and produce her food so that she could live. I don't know, like that's just the best way I could explain the bond and how it boosted my confidence. And I just think that's super awesome. The human body is crazy and the woman body is even crazier. Something else I think is important to know is the working out thing. I was Googling, actually I Googled a lot when I was breastfeeding because I would freak out over the littlest things, but I was reading a lot of posts where they said if you work out, your milk production will slow down. And I want to say that that is false to an extent. If you are working out like 4 hours or, you know, on a crazy amount, yes, your milk production is going to lower, but working out in general does not lower your milk production. When I brought it up to my lactation consultant, she kind of like giggled and she was like, no, it's not gonna lower. Working out actually like benefits you because it releases your stress and it releases endorphins, which promote you to make more milk. So if you're not doing over 2 hours or like a very strenuous workout, your milk is gonna be totally fine. I worked out and I was totally fine all the way up until 14 months, and I could have done it longer for like 2 years because that's where I wanted to stop, but Scarlett weaned herself, so I mean working out had nothing to do with her weaning herself. So if you want to work out, you do you, girl. You work out, you get that body. I want to talk a little bit about breastfeeding in public. I was super open about it. I didn't care where I was. I breastfed anywhere I pleased to or where Scarlett pleased to. I believe wholeheartedly that if a baby wants to eat, they get to eat wherever or whenever they want. If I'm in Target, I will breastfeed walking around Target. If I'm in the grocery store, I will breastfeed walking around the grocery store. I don't care. I literally don't care. People would always look at me like, oh, dang, okay. But I seriously didn't care. I didn't care about the looks. I was feeding my baby, so I just, you know, blew off the crazy looks and did my own thing. If my baby's hungry, I'm gonna feed her because that's what moms do. They feed their babies when they're hungry. Would you rather hear a baby cry and scream, or would you rather see a baby happy because they're fed? That's really what it comes down to. So I chose to feed my baby wherever and whenever I wanted, and whenever or wherever she wanted. So to each is their own. If you don't feel comfortable, I mean, find a spot you do feel comfortable if you're out in public, or get like a nursing cover. I had one, but I never used it because I seriously didn't care, like I said. But I mean, there's ways that you can go around feeling uncomfortable or getting the crazy looks. If you don't feel comfortable getting those crazy looks, you can cover up or, you know, walk away or find a nursing room. A lot of places have nursing rooms now, like the mall. Grocery stores will have spots where you can go and feed. You'll have to check. I don't know where else. I know that my school had a nursing room, so that was really cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about was going to school and breastfeeding. So I am currently in college, but when I was breastfeeding, I was also in college. So during my school hours, I would have to go to the nursing room to pump. And all of the teachers were super supportive of that. They didn't care. They would let me like leave and come whenever I needed to. And they were super supportive. Like when I would go up to them for the first day and I would say, hey, I just had a baby. I need to pump throughout class. Sometimes I have to pump every 2 hours to keep my milk up. So some days, or most days, or every day, I will need to leave to go pump. And they were like, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. Come and go as you need. And if you need any extra help, I will be in my office hours and you can come in and I will help you. I will go over whatever you missed, or even if you have questions of things that you were there for. So they were super supportive and I'm so thankful for that. It's really awesome that people are so supportive. Even when I went back to work, they were like, come and go as you please, like take as long as you need, relax, pump. I mean, don't take like 30 minutes each time, go for like 10 minutes and then come back, but they were super supportive of it too, so that was super cool. So that's the end of the video. That's all I have, the tips and tricks, advice, and some of my experience stories. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope it helped you and it was useful, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!